Okay, what I'll be showing today, what we have is a situation here that's pretty common. This is a laptop chill mat, and what has happened is these little fans have gotten very noisy, and I'll just demonstrate that right here. Um, this, there we go. You hear that? So this one's got a switch where you can turn one or two or three of them on, and they're all making noise. Mainly that center one, but the same problem it seems to exist on all three of them, and it gets worse when you put the laptop on there, and genuinely drives you crazy. So what I'm going to do here today is first of all, I'm going to unplug that. I'm going to open this up and take a look and see if I can solve this. And it's just probably 4, maybe 6, maybe 8 screws. They're probably all under these little foot pads. And so the next thing I'll do is take this apart, and that'll be the next scene. Okay, so as expected, the screws were underneath all the foot pads. I just kind of peeled them up and set them next to. I just stuck them there to keep track of them all, and unscrewed all the screws. And I just wanted to mention something that happens really often when taking apart things like this. Now here all the screws are out, but it still won't come apart. And so what you have to do is start looking for the extra screws. And they're usually under a sticker or a plate, even a specification tab, and you just kind of start feeling around, and you'll start to feel impressions and circles and realize that there are more screws and they're under there. Like I can feel one right there, and you can almost see the silhouette of that circle there. And so what you have to do is actually punch through here to unscrew that screw. And that's what I'll be. And there's one right there. And there's one right there. And that's what I'll do next. Just wanted to mention that because oftentimes what happens is you have all the screws out and you might get impatient and you start to pull and pry, and then what'll happen is it'll just crack right down the middle because it's still got screws in. So I'll do that next. Okay, so this is kind of funny to me. It turns out those little holes that I could feel through the sticker were the bottoms of the fans, if you can see there. The little center shafts of the fans. And that is where they come through the case, but it's still, it's still stuck. And so I decided to peel the whole sticker off, and what I ended up finding was the actual screws. Now they're so flush that you couldn't even feel them through. This is a really thick sticker. But if you take the entire sticker off, you see that you have 2 more screws that you absolutely couldn't feel through the sticker. And so don't be afraid to take the stickers off, especially, I mean, these things are practically worthless really. So it's not like you're voiding a warranty or anything. And if you want to, you can get the sticker back on, or you can just leave it off at this point. But there's the 2 more screws. So that's what we'll take off now. Okay, now the screws are off and it's ready to come apart. Oops, this side. Here we go. Okay, and so yeah, the top is really just a cover. Of course, it's upside down. That is the top, and there's nothing in there, just all plastic. And so everything is built onto the base. And so what you have here is just the smallest little circuit board. Those lights were showing the 3 different phases: 1 fan, 2 fan, or 3 fan. And of course there's the USB inputs. Oh, I didn't even realize it had an extra. Okay. And then of course just wires 2 to 3 fans. and these things are being noisy. Now at this point, I'm going to plug it in and let it run without the cover on it to see if the cover was doing any of the noise making. Nope, as you can hear, the fan is loud. The fan is making noise without the cover. So are those. Okay, and now, so very likely, the only thing, I've run into this before on computer fans, you just have to lubricate the fan. Now there is a chance, I'm going to start by just spraying lubricant into these little shafts here and see if that solves the issue. If that is all that it is, then all you really need to do is, take off the sticker and lubricate the fans and then put the sticker back on. You wouldn't have to take the whole thing apart. But if that's not the issue, you're going to have to take the top of the fan off. But I'll come back in a second. I'll spray these with WD-40 and see if that solves the problem. I'm just going to spray straight into these holes and see what happens. So I sprayed into those holes, and I know the shafts are lubricated now, but as you can of course hear, it's still making the noise. Now, that one has become very quiet. That means that the problem with that one was the shaft, and just offhand, I'd say that one is quiet. I can't make them run individually. Well, I could with unplugging, but this one right here seems to be the one that's making all the noise. Now, this one was making noise, but it is now quiet, and this one's still making noise, even though its shaft is now lubricated, which means that the top of it has to come off. And I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so here's a look at what that looks like. This part here, it's kind of a reverse motor type deal, is you've got the this part sits still, and this part spins according to the way the magnet works. So this one, this doesn't spin, which means the whole thing is teetering on that centerpiece. And as you can see, it is lubricated from the factory. They put grease on there, but they do dry out. And so what's happening is it's kind of teetering around and bouncing off the edges, and it just needs more lubricant in there. And they are pressure fitted on there, right there in the center. Whoops. And the center is pressure fitted onto that center. And I think. And what happens is they just start to kind of teeter just a little bit, and it's kind of like making that knocking sound. So really what you could do, if you're not comfortable prying it off like that, which is a little delicate, you can hold the whole thing upside down and try to stick the tube from the, I can't even show it. If you had the whole thing upside down, say this was face, completely opposite, you could stick the tube from the WD-40 straight in there and let gravity draw it to the top. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of fill it up and let it take care of it, which is, a little bit difficult to do as well, but I've definitely done it that way as well. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray this right there. And so what this is doing is re-lubricating it. And I think I'm out of WD-40. I'm just getting the little bit of a trickle. Hopefully this is enough to do the trick. There we go. And hopefully that will do it. Now I'll put it back on and I'll come right back. Okay, so I've got the fan top back on, and I've established two things here, and I'll show you here in a moment. Um, okay, here we go. As you can see, that's the center fan, and then when I go for the two outer fans, um, this is when the two outer fans would have been on, and then this click here is when all three of them would be on. And as you can see, now what's happened here, like what I was saying, you got to be really careful prying that top off. What I have done is I've broken that one, and what happens is when I had the screwdriver in there prying it off, I broke the circuit. And it's a very, very fine circuit, very, very fine wire. Can't really be fixed or soldered. I mean, it can and it can't. This chill mat is going to run on 2 fans now, rather than 3. As you can see, I even broke a fin. And I think that what I've established, now I'm sure that's what it was. You just have to get lubrication up under there. You saw there. You know, if you had it upside down, you would spray down into it. But since you have it right side up like this, I think that what I've shown here is that prying it off is really detrimental to the fan, and so you probably want to keep it on. And so I'm going to recommend that you use the method that I just described, whereas you would you have it down to this stage, like say after you've lubricated the bottoms, if you've lubricated all 3 of the bottoms and they're still making noise, then what you want to do is you've got to get up in there. So what you have to do is you have to flip it over like that. And then while it's upside down, you've got to spray it way up there right into that crack. And then let the oil fall down into the cap, if you understand. And it would help to spin it around and get it flush, but that should take care of the problem. I've done it that way quite a few times on circuit boards, on usually the video cards. And so yeah, I'm going to recommend you don't pry the fan off, because I have experience doing that and I broke it. So lubricate it with the gravity method. But as you heard, the other 2 fans, what I've done is I've made this certainly usable again. Just it's going to be running on 2 fans. And but if you listen, they're nice and quiet now. And that will do the job. I mean, the computer this one was for isn't running high-end graphics or anything like that. This will keep it nice and cool. But until we just replace the whole thing. As I said, they're not very expensive anyway. But here's a look inside of them, and solution for the noisy fan. That's a solution if the fan itself is making noise, but if it was like rubbing up against the edge there or something, then you just have to cut some plastic or something, or sometimes there'll even be something stuck in there. You just simply have to get it out. But I hope this helps somebody. This is what was wrong with this one, and now there's even a bigger problem, but I at least showed something. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something useful out of it, and thanks for watching.